Hey y'all, what's up? Jamie, that's me here. Welcome back to the channel. Listen, I just wanted to come talk to you guys about Braxton family. Well, not so much as values, but the Braxton family. Let's get into that, okay? It looks like the niece of the famous Braxton sisters and the daughter of the Braxton brother has come out to kind of share her story about her strained relationship with one of her aunts. And there's been a lot of speculation out there about who that aunt is, okay? And she's having a strained relationship with that aunt due to some situation that happened with the husband. Okay. Now, before we get into that, y'all know I want to get into some of the backstory about this young lady. Okay. And then, believe it or not, we have people listening to us that may not know anything about what's going on or the Braxtons, period. So we gotta let them know, okay? Toni Braxton is the famous sister. Okay, the most famous of them all. She is a singer and actress. Okay, well, we got to know her sisters because they used to sing alongside her. All right, at one point, and then the sister, as a collective, decided to come to us with a television show called Braxton Family Values, which I think may have dropped in 2010, somewhere up in there. Okay, they brought us Braxton Family Values, and that's where we got a chance to know more about the sisters, their dynamic, and their relationship. Shy, okay. um Unfortunately, one of the sisters has passed away. I believe it's been about 2 years, all going on 3 years from my understanding, since the passing of sister Traci Braxton. Okay, may she rest her soul. So she has since, passed away. And recently, the sisters came to us with a reality show called The Braxtons, not Braxton Family Values, but The Braxtons. And it was a lot of, mess surrounding that particular show. All right. And I'm sure the sisters were glad to be away from the spotlight at this time. And it looks like they are being drugged right on back into the spotlight. Okay. Not necessarily by the niece in so many words, but more so by some of the fans. Okay. Because listen, they're trying to figure out which aunt the niece is talking about. Okay. Now, y'all know they have a brother. The brother likes to fall back, not really be too much in the limelight, not have a whole lot going on. And sometimes the sisters would share their spotlight with him just a little bit by letting him come on the show. Well, it looks like he's under a whole different type of spotlight right now, honey, because the daughter has come to the front to share some things about her, her history with her dad and her upbringing, from being a child and stuff. Um, and that's the stuff that I want to get into before we get into the video that she did over on the TikTok where she talks about her aunt. All right. So, about 3 years ago, Miss Ashlee Braxton did a sit down interview with the People's Building podcast. From my understanding, she did an interview with them. It was roughly about a 2 hour interview, and I did, take my time and I watched it all. And I did get some clips from that I would like to share with you all so that you guys that have not seen it, you'll get the clips. If you want to go over and watch it, do your thing, honey. It's the People's Building podcast where you could check that out. And she talks a lot about, her family, her mother, who I didn't know wasn't even a part of her life, you know, um, what she was in the beginning up until the age of 6, and then after that no relationship. And she kind of gets into that, her dad, her stepmom, her sister being on drugs, how she left America and started to live in Barcelona, and she's been in Barcelona for quite some time now. It doesn't really have anything to do with her family from my understanding. So and maybe there's some conversations here or there. I do remember seeing a post that Traci made a while back, where she was saying, I believe it was like maybe 2017 or something like that, maybe 2018, where she was just telling her, happy birthday. So maybe she was in good, contact with Traci at some point. All of this, of course, was during the time that the young lady had been over in Barcelona. But let us go ahead and get into more about, that particular interview that she did. So while she was doing this interview, Ashlee does let us know, like I said, about her childhood and her family dynamic. And she lets us know that she grew up without her mom. Okay. So her mom pretty much abandoned her and her sister when Ashlee was about 6 years of age. Okay. And due to her mom leaving her, it led to her having like a lot of panic attacks over that. All right. Not having your mom, whew, that's rough. Okay, to be a young lady, you're getting older, you're growing into your body, you're just learning a lot of things, and it's not gonna be answers that daddy's gonna be able to answer. He not gonna have answer for all of your questions. Okay, He's just not. Just like, some moms don't have all of the answers for questions that the son may have. Maybe only the dad can answer that, right? So I would think it's a similar thing. So she mentions that her family like to sweep things under the rug, is what she talked about. She says, actually, before we get into more, I do want to say that her mom actually removed her name from the birth certificate, y'all. So from my understanding, Ashlee's mom was married to Mr. Michael Braxton, and then at some point just completely left him, didn't want anything to do with the girls, divorced him, and snatched her name off the birth certificate and was like, here, get somebody else to do it. Ain't that crazy? But listen, I'm not going to just continue to do a lot of talking. I do have some clips that I want you guys to hear these things come directly from Ashlee's mouth. So check this out.
Yeah, when I was younger, my parents were married, and then my parents got a divorce, and then my mom decided to give us up to my dad. And then she took her name off of our birth certificate, and she decided to move on with her life, and she had a whole nother life and kids, and she she was gone.
All right. So y'all heard what Ashlee just said. Her mama was gone, living a whole nother life. I believe her mom went on to have about 3 children. I know Ashlee has some brothers over there on her mom's side. I don't know if they're all brothers or what, but she does have some siblings. And it's really sad because her sister did pass away, which was Lauren. Lauren passed away a few years before Traci Braxton passed away. And it's really sad because it's like you're out here by yourself. You don't have a relationship with your mom. I'm sure the relationship with the dad is strained. Your sister is no longer here with you anymore. And you have siblings, and you probably can't even be as close to your siblings as you would like, because I do believe her mom said that she wanted nothing to do with them and didn't want anybody to bring them up or discuss them or anything, like just completely wiped away that part of her life. And I remember her saying that when she would ask her dad about like what happened, the dad would say, I don't know. Wow. And when she asked her mom, when she got a chance to talk to her, her mom says, I was young, and that's it. Now that makes me question the toxicity of the Braxtons. I'm sorry. Okay. Like, were you running from the entire family, or were you just running from him? Or was it something going on with you? And you said you were young. Were you battling something else that just made you not want to be there, not have anything to do with him, and absolutely nothing to do with your children? Now, I know it's none of my business, but I can't help but say that I do want to know more. What was going on? Because, that's really surprising. Like, honestly, I'm only used to hearing that from dads, or hearing that about dads that would just up and leave their children and go start a whole nother life across town, out of state, whatever, and act like they don't have their biological children out here. They'll go on and be with a whole nother woman and help her raise a child that's not even theirs, but won't show up for their own, right? So that's crazy. Like, I mean, it's a bit shocking to hear. When we hear things like this about a mom, it's not so common as you hear about a dad that abandons his children. You hear dad abandoning the kid, but you don't really hear the mom doing that. So it does, it's a lot. It's interesting, right? So she does go on to mention that she did get a mom. At least she was excited to get one, but it didn't turn out to be the type of mom she really wanted, right? So she says she got a stepmom, and that stepmom actually put her name on her and her sister's birth certificate. That's very nice of her. Very, very nice of her to do. She says, however, her dad was physically abusive to her stepmom. Yes, you heard it. This young woman says that her father, Mr. Michael Braxton Jr., was abusive to her stepmom. Now, I'm not sure why he was so abusive. I don't know if it had anything to do with, the failing of the first marriage, him being upset about that and taking it out and projecting onto her, or if it had anything to do with his childhood, potentially the daddy leaving his mom, marrying someone else and breaking up their marriage. And maybe he felt like, hey, I'll never do that to my wife, only for the wife to end up leaving you anyway. And you may feel like a failure. I don't know what could have led to him being so abusive to her, but he was. And Ashlee also goes on to let us know that not only was the dad abusive to the stepmom, but the stepmom would then go on and project that same abuse onto her and her sister. Ain't that something? She says that her stepmom was physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive to she and her sister. That's terrible. Very terrible. She does talk about how as she got older, she did begin to realize that her father was a part of the problem. So for him to say he doesn't know why the mom may have left, I'm sure now she may have a pretty idea as to why, even though she says it no longer phases her anymore. But she may have an idea at this point, even though he's saying he doesn't know why she left. All right. But I do want to get into more, and I actually want her to tell you guys that. So let's check out another clip from her.
And even to this day, they both have no reason of why it happened. Their response, my dad's response is, I don't know. And my mom's response is, well, I was young. And it took me a while to be okay with those answers. And now those answers are fine. Like it doesn't really faze me anymore. But growing up, those answers were not okay for me.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your dad know that it was going to happen?
You know, this is really interesting with family dynamics because some families choose to sweep things under the rug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. I know someone that I refer to as an ostrich because his head is always in the sand, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes you wonder, and I wonder more now as an adult, am I bringing up something or am I asking something that perhaps is traumatic? You know what I mean? When you're a kid, you have no idea. Sure. But as an adult, you start to think of things more and you're like, okay, maybe something is like really going on here.
Yeah.
And so I will accept this answer, but I hope if it's that bad, that people would get the help that they need.
Sure. God love you. All right.
Yeah. So then my dad moved on and he found someone else and he married my stepmom. But, you know, it was not a good relationship. He was physically abusive to her.
Okay.
And then she was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive to my sister and I.
Right. And did you have contact with mum, like after mum had gone?
No. Interesting enough, I never had contact with her. She also has 3 kids.
Wow.
So she moved on.
Yeah.
But I would sometimes see her sister and her mom and her dad sometimes.
Yeah.
I had a girl cousin, but it was always up and down. It was always some sort of a roller coaster. But after that, I never seen her ever again.
Wow. So was it like you sort of like, I know she's out there and it kind of through the grapevine, you might hear something like, oh, she's out there doing this, that, and the other, but she's just not reaching out to you.
No, not reaching out at all. And no one talked about it either.
Okay.
And she had asked her family, like her mom, her dad, her family, not to talk about us. So we did not exist.
Wow.
Yeah. And so with my stepmom, it was a really interesting life because for me, I was super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a new mom. And she put her name on our papers and things that.
Okay.
And so there was moments that were great. And I have 2 half brothers. So.
All right. So you guys just pretty much heard what Ashlee had to say, honey. Mama wanted absolutely nothing to do with them. I think it's good that she was able to have contact with some part of the family, but I guess not that good if it continued to be very inconsistent, but at least she knows who they are. Right. I really hate that. She does talk about, you know, as you heard her go into the spiel about her stepmom and how that relationship wasn't that great. She says that she mentioned it to her dad about how the stepmom would treat her and her sister, and he didn't really fix anything, actually. You know, of course, he was a nurse or whatnot. As if that has anything to do with anything. She goes on to say that, you know, when he would get home and she's expressing to him maybe how she was treated, he would go and start arguing with the stepmom, and they both would get physical with each other, and they'll be literally physically beating each other in the other room. And her siblings would run into her room. They'll crawl under her bed, because just listening to these two grown people fighting, you know what I'm saying, not too far from you, was very traumatic for all of them. Okay, so who would have thought, right? So she talks about that, and she says that she even tried to get her aunts involved. At least they tried to step in once she talked to them about the treatment that the stepmom was giving them. She didn't necessarily talk to them about her dad, right? Because at this time, at a young age, for her, she's thinking that, you know, her dad is good. She's not thinking the dad is the problem. She's thinking the stepmom is the issue, right? But as she got older, was when she realized that her dad was actually a part of the problem. And my question is, did the sisters know that your dad was a part of the problem? Did they know that? Were they aware that he was over there physically beating on, physically assaulting your stepmom? Did they know that? I also wonder if she ever went to the aunts. I can't recall if she mentioned this in the interview, but I don't think so. But I'm wondering if she ever went to the aunts to see if they may have known something about the mom. Something like, hey, do you know something? Can y'all tell me anything about my mom? Right? I'm wondering. Maybe he probably told him, don't say nothing. Don't bring it up. Don't talk about her. Vice versa. Let's act like it never happened. Okay. I just think that's so problematic, in my opinion. So she does go on to speak more about her sister, and her sister, you know, getting on drugs and things, turned into drugs. And she talks about the first of all, when she talks about learning about when her sister passed away, right? Um, which was pretty interesting, and we'll get into that. But real quick, she was really devastated, as we all expect, you know, when you lose a relative that's so close to you. She says that her sister was her best friend. All right, she talks about her sister being her best friend, and it sucks that, you know, she passed, because as she's out here telling her story and letting people know about what happened to her, a lot of people question her story. They actually don't really believe her. And the one person that experienced a lot of what she experienced and could validate her story and have her back and say, nah, like, we really went through that, she doesn't have that person anymore. And that's why I felt like it could be a really lonely world for Ashlee. I don't think she's in communication with the dad. Don't really talk to your mom like that. Your sister has passed away. You're likely not as close as you would like to be to the siblings that your mom have, because she doesn't want them to have anything to do with you. And then you're having a strained relationship with one of your aunts. So, I mean, are you in conversation with Toni potentially? Is what I'm wondering, if she may even, you know, talk to Toni. Toni seems to be a person that's been fair. You know, when I think about the Braxton family values, or shall I say just the Braxtons, right? The Braxtons, the show. Well, let me say this. It's really both. I remember when Toni Braxton said, listen, if you guys were not my family, I would not be friends with y'all, because I don't like y'all. Okay. I love y'all because y'all family, but if I had to choose, I wouldn't be around none of y'all, because y'all crazy, is what it was given, right? In addition to that, I remember we watched the show, the Braxtons and the sisters were feuding, primarily Towanda and Trina. They were feuding with Traci's husband, Kevin. Didn't want him to be a part of the show, have anything to do with it. But it seems like Toni Braxton was open to the idea. Heck, you got his son on the show, and then you're kind of talking about the man. Why can't he be on the show? And they shut that down, right? So I would think that Toni Braxton isn't I would say as problematic. Okay. I don't know her to really be problematic, but I'll say as problematic. Okay. As the sisters. So I would wonder if she has a connection with Toni and still able to talk with Toni. And let me say this as well while I'm on the Braxtons. I remember when I was reviewing the show and I had so much to say about Towanda and Trina, and some people actually did not like it. And that's fine. You don't have to like it. We don't always like, you know, what I say or what others say. And that's fine. But after we get into the video a little later of what the niece is saying, and she did not necessarily name a particular person, but some of the viewers are picking up what she's putting down, and they're making their own assumptions, and they're assuming and they are alleging that she could be talking about Trina. So when you guys listen to her video for yourself and stuff, I wonder what your thoughts are going to be at that point. And if you do believe that it could potentially be her, and her, late ex. Then I wonder what your thoughts are going to be at that time. Okay, to know that he was likely over there texting a minor or whatnot. Okay. Um, so yeah, the Braxtons got some stuff going on with them that's, it's a bit, messy or whatnot. But anywho, yeah, so Lauren, not Lauren, I'm sorry, rest her soul, that is the sister, but Ashlee definitely tried to get the sisters involved in things, and I'm just wondering, what her relationship was like with the aunts. Now, up until today, the sisters tried to get involved, and when they tried to pull up on, the stepmom to let her know, hey, don't be doing our niece like that, like what you got going on, the dad would check them and tell them like, yo, y'all need to back off, because this isn't just my house, it's her house too. So I don't know if they were privy to his actions and him physically putting his hands on this woman or what it is. But he definitely would stop them from coming at her. I guess he could be the only one to come at her, when really he about was the one they should have been jumping on, in all honesty. Okay, but like I said, she mentions her sister turning to drugs and how devastating it was for her, and how that experience, like she doesn't have somebody that can relate to her anymore, right? um in the midst of her talking about that, she does go on to admit that she sexually touched her sister when they were younger. She says that it was done to her, and that was something that she did to her sister. And when she goes on to talk about her sister, actually, you know what, before we get into that I do want to, well, let me say this, I'll go ahead and finish this part. First of all, she does admit about her sister passing away from heroin and fentanyl. Okay. Her sister passed away in April of 2019. And when she talks about this, for me, it seems like she may have known um much sooner than what the public found out about her sister passing away from those drugs, because she already knew her sister was turning to drugs. And learning that she passed away from heroin and fentanyl, she's like, wow, like those are some really hard drugs. And anybody that's doing that, like they really need some help. They really, really need some serious help. And I find that, when she talks about her sister and how she passed away with the drugs and everything, I'm thinking about the time that her dad actually came to the front to say that she passed away from a heart condition. And I remember that over here on the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, where she passed away in April of 2019, right? And then what they stated was that Lauren Braxton, who was 24 years old when she passed away, they said TMZ put this story out. They also went on to say that Michael Braxton told the publication her death was related to a heart condition. Now, I personally feel like he did not owe them a statement or anything when it came to the daughter, but it seems like he did not want to attach the family's name or be any embarrassed or anything about his daughter, doing drugs and passing away from heroin and fentanyl. So that's what he put out there in April. Well, it wasn't much longer until June of 2019 when the truth was revealed by a medical examiner who confirmed, her death. So isn't that interesting? I feel like that is a small indicator that you will lie. You didn't even have to lie to the people about that. All you had to do was say, hey, I have no comment. And maybe she did have a heart condition, right? But according to the medical examiner, that is not the reason why she passed away. So I do feel like you could have held what you had on that. You didn't have to share anything. You could have said simple, no comment. All right. But anywho, I do want you guys to check out Ashlee as she speaks on the passing of her sister.
The phone call that I got when my sister passed away was interesting because it was heroin and fentanyl.
Wow.
And for me, those are massive drugs, guys.
That's hardcore stuff.
Any drug is not good, but as you wish. But those types of drugs for me always indicate that that person needs help.
Yeah.
And so I showed up back home ready to face that.
Mm-hmm.
and to be like, oh my gosh, now we can finally talk about when mom left, which was the start of all of this. And no one was ready to talk about that.
Okay.
No one was ready to address it.
When you got the call regarding your sister, were you shocked or not?
I was preparing a company event. I was in Biscaros.
Key things.
You know what I mean? I'm hopeful. And if it doesn't, well, it's okay as well.
Yeah. When your sister passed, did mum acknowledge that?
Interesting enough, I emailed her. I reached out.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm so sorry for your loss. Life happens. I'll ask your dad if I can show up.
Wow.
And she didn't show up.
No.
Yeah, no, she didn't show up.
Wow. She must feel very disconnected from you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a...
All right. So you guys just heard that. And that's really sad to hear, that you're learning about the daughter that you gave birth to passing away and you have no connection at all. It's like, it's as if she told her a stranger passed away, and maybe she is, being that she was younger and Ashlee was 6 at the time when you walked away. So I'm not sure how young her sister was. So maybe the mom could have been dealing with some postpartum depression or something that decided to make her want to just walk away from it all. But I also am not sure, because she stayed away. She completely stayed away. Completely stayed away. That is just really sad. I really, really hate that. I really, really do. Another thing about Ashlee and the passing of her sister, I do believe that she held in a lot of guilt, honestly. And I say that because she kind of mentions that in another clip that we're going to check out. And she mentions that she touched her sister sexually, and she did that because that was something that was done to her. And she kind of has some guilt about that. She feels like that may have contributed to her sister's passing. So basically, with everything that they dealt with as kids, in addition to what she did to her sister, she feels like those things could have been something that led her to start using drugs, which eventually led her to her demise.
There was so many things that I never got to ask her.
Yeah.
I did get to in a dream. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
But that was really devastating for me when she passed away, because the person who had also gone through what I had gone through was gone. So obviously, me speaking, people are like, is this a made up story? I didn't have that person.
Yeah.
I didn't have that connection anymore of someone who truly understood me.
Of course.
I left, and I left you in a sort of semi-difficult situation. Mm. And then also growing up, there was, I guess, when you're touched inappropriately as a child and then it sort of manifests and then you start doing it. So then there was a lot of guilt there because I had sexually touched her.
Right.
And so for me, the reason why she passed away was because of drugs. And so for me, all those reasons was because of me, and that's why she's not here.
So as you guys can tell, Miss Ashlee has really been on a healing journey for a very long time for her to be able to open up and really share information like this, because a lot of people are not going to admit that they may have done something like that to a family member, little cousin, sibling, whatever it is, child on child, or whatever the case. A lot of them are not going to mention that. And I guess she finds healing of some sort admitting that and saying those things out loud. And I wonder if her and her sister have had the conversations before she passed, and it doesn't seem like it really, because she says that she has so much that she didn't get to ask her or talk to her about or whatever. So I'm sure she stays in her head. But the good thing was that she did mention having a dream with her sister Lauren, and in that moment of having that her sister visit her in her dream, she was able to kind of get to that place where she needed to make some changes in her life for the better. So that was a good thing. Okay. But let's keep going because there was more that I wanted to touch on. So, and the reason that we're really all here, right? So, Ashlee does go over to her TikTok and she does a video where she talks about, I'm not going to say an inappropriate, I mean, I'll say this. Her aunt ended up catching her texting somebody, okay, which happens to be her husband. And she didn't like it too much. So people are trying to figure out which aunt is this, whose husband, what's what. And I'm going to play it for you guys to check it out. And then you guys just let me know who you may think that it is. And then we'll get into a bit more in just a second. So y'all go ahead and check out this video.
Okay, so I want to tell a story today, and that story is about how one of my aunts in my family do not talk to me because they think that I, at the age of 16, did something with her partner at the time. And I have been a nervous wreck to talk about something like this and to tell this story. A, because of my family. B, because I don't want people, you know, it's not to hurt people to tell my story. But at the same time, I've been working through this so much in therapy, and this is something that goes way deep to my core in terms of worthiness and how I feel about myself. And it's been such a journey. And it's that moment of my life where I have to like fully confront it and face it and talk about it, but talk about it because I also want to shed light for the women and the men and anybody who has gone through something like this, where you were underage and something in that sort of manner happened in terms of that sort of word of abuse. And I feel like I have to be careful with what I'm saying here because I don't want to be banned from talking about these situations, but also we kind of have to talk about it. I'm also not very good at storytelling, and I'm new to all this, and I'm also trying to get ready at the same time and tell a story. And I feel like the story is quite complicated and detailed, so like bear with me here. But yeah, so one of my aunts does not talk to me because I guess she felt like I did something with her partner at that time. And nothing happened, but I'm gonna try to tell the story quickly and also not name any names. And so I was with this aunt for the summer with my sister, and I can't remember how much time had passed since we were there in the summer for a little bit of time to when we got home. And when I think it was my stepmother was going through my phone and she found this conversation, this sort of conversation. And she showed it to my dad, and my dad called that aunt and we spoke about it and we talked about it a little bit. And I remember just a lot of emotions, was a lot going on. I was 16 at the time and I'm 32 now. I had to think about it. I'm 32 now. And so, oh my God, it's been 16 years. This is wild. Anyway, okay. So yeah, my aunt was there for me. She was very kind and very nice and was like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, blah, 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 blah. And not blah, 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 but she was very kind and it just felt like safe, you know? But then as the years have gone by, it's like that mood and that assumption that I didn't do anything because I was a child was not that assumption anymore. And it boggled my mind because it was like, wait, but if it happened or if it was true, then that would make him, you know, and like, you're okay with that? Like that's what you would like to hear? And I will just never forget how when I got older, I just realized that I really had to take the time and go back to that part of my life and understand how much feeling of like I didn't matter, that I was unworthy. It just felt like love from my family was just cut off and gone. And you're like, but wait, that guy? And it made it even worse because it was like, wait, this guy that was doing this to you on TV? And like, it's kind of cohorts in the same spirit of what was happening. Not in the same cohorts, in the same spirit, but like, you know? It's so painful. And I know that the ladies, the men, everybody who has experienced this sort of feeling when your family doesn't believe you, or when you're at an age where you shouldn't have been put in that situation to have to navigate it. And however you navigated was however you navigated it. And this is what I learned in therapy, is like how I navigated it and how I dealt with it was how I dealt with it. But the most important thing to understand is that I never should have been put in that spot in the first place. And I think that's the devastating part, is that you realize that you didn't ask for that. You know, I did not ask for that. No matter what, I didn't ask for that. So I'm just wondering what other people who have gone through this, how they decided to handle this sort of situation. How did you go about telling your truth? And how do you tell your truth in a way that honors you? And I think the reason why I'm addressing it now so much is because I'm getting older. And if I want to have kids, and especially if I want to have girls, like, I don't want to still be in that space and place and in that situation and just even having to deal with it, you know? And so next year I'm planning to go to the US, and I'm planning to like confront a lot of things because my sister passed away. Like, I've just I fled the country because I was needing to save my own self and my own life. And when I say all of this, this is not a dig to my family member, because it's really sad that she also was put in that situation of having to deal and having to handle. That's not her. Like, I don't wish that upon anyone either. Do you know? There's sympathy there. But there's also so many other aspects of it when you're a child and you're like denied a voice. It's pretty much been like a lifelong battle for me. So it's been a journey, but I appreciate spaces like this where I feel like if I talk about it on social media, and I just felt like, I don't know, like, I just felt like TikTok was the space and the place to talk about it, and it felt right, and it just felt accepted in this community. And so if you've ever been that person, I just want to hear from you. I want to know that you're okay. I want to ask you what sort of work you've done for yourself to get better. Like, what sorts of things are you doing to make sure that you heal? And I'm so happy that I'm getting to a place where I'm healing, so that then I have the heart and the courage to go heal somebody else, that next person. And not only that, but my aunt as well, you know? So this has not been an easy journey, and I hope that I'm not annihilated on this platform. but I do just, I don't know, like, I love you all and thank you. And if you've ever been that person who's been silenced, like, so much love to you, and you're an amazing person. And don't let anybody, because that's easier said than done, but wait, I'm gonna go to part 2. Okay, I'm back, sorry. Okay, so this is part 2 of my aunt doesn't talk to me because she thinks that I did something with her partner. And if you watched part 1, you could probably understand what's happening. And like I said, it's really difficult to talk about because I just don't want to be like, I just don't want people to be rude because this happens to people where they've experienced some sort of abuse and then someone's told them that it hasn't happened or that it's their fault, or like they've just completely silenced them. And this is something that I really honestly sometimes thought was only, or that it was really big in the African American community, where we just sweep things under the rug. But then as I like have now lived in Europe for 10 years and I've traveled the world, it happens it happens across the world, which makes it even more important to talk about, because a lot of people are going through this, but they're not allowed to say, or they're embarrassed, or they just feel like it's not something that they can even talk about. So for me, it was difficult because I realized that my aunt was starting to feel this way that I initiated, or that it was I'm a part of the problem to blame. And I was saying before that I never should have been put in that situation as a kid at all, ever, especially when there's an adult involved. But yeah, okay, I was saying that this happens around the world. And I was asking the people who have gone through something like this to start sharing their stories and to start talking about it, because I don't feel like we talk about it enough. And I have a lot of friends who have opened up to me, who told me that the same things or that has happened to them. And I hate that we can bond about something like that, but at the same time, I'm so grateful that I can give them a space and a place that they also have a voice, because losing your voice about it is no fun. So I wanted to know how you guys were, or how you handled it, or like how you dealt with it in your life. And I think I'm getting older. I'm ready to have kids soon. Like, I can't be going through this anymore. And so I essentially left the US in 2014 and I went to Paris, and I was there for about 4, almost 5 years. And I'm so irritated at myself because I left right before I was supposed to get my my citizenship there. But anyway, and now I'm here in Barcelona, Spain, and I've been in Europe for almost like 9 years now. And this subject has just come up for me and my therapy, and I'm addressing it, and I'm talking about it, and I'm shedding light on it, and I'm shedding awareness on it. And I just want to encourage other people to share your story and to find love and to find self-love for yourself and for everyone else involved, and just know and understand that it's not your fault. And I know that you did not ask life to give you this, because that's like another weird misconception. It's like, I feel like people are like, you asked for it. Like, why would I ask for that? It doesn't make any sense. But that you don't let it get to you, and you find a way to release yourself and to feel loved and to feel appreciated and just felt beautiful. And so I am excited to tackle this journey and just like have a support system behind me and talk about it with people who I know wouldn't judge me and just who get me, and encourage everybody else to practice love and to practice self-love. And didn't ask for it, but you have to deal with it, and you're dealing with it like you're worthy enough to just at some point let go of it and talk about it and like love yourself. I think one of the most important things that I've done since I've moved to Europe and figured out who I am as a person and let go of maybe what I internally pressured myself to what I thought I needed to be was to find my own, was to find my own values of life. And I feel like, hold on one second. Anyway, I feel like I did that and I made my own values for myself, and I'm gonna grow with my family, but also find the love to create a boundary and a space in place for my relationship with my own family to grow. So that's it, you guys. I have to get dressed and I have to get ready. I hope you guys do not annihilate me for this, but this is for you, little lady or big lady or matured adults, beautiful flower.
All right. So you guys just heard what all Miss Ashlee had to say and kind of telling her story. Listen, when she talks about being silenced, I do believe her. I mean, I believe that. I mean, Trina continued to, well, I keep saying Trina when we don't know for a fact if it is indeed Trina that she is talking about. So I don't, I'll take that back. But I do believe that she was silenced. Okay. And if it was them, they continue to go on and date them. All right. I mean, honestly, when I think about the dad coming out giving the statement of, oh, she had a heart condition or whatever versus what it was, or really just saying, hey, it ain't none of y'all business. We gonna fall back and we not leaving a statement. Um, it gives all about perception. So with that being said, you're likely going to tell her to be quiet and make it seem as though what happened to her or whatever she just experienced with this situation, she didn't. And if you did, then it's your fault. As if he wasn't 1000% in the wrong, whoever it was, because obviously that's somebody's husband. He's the adult in the situation and you're texting this minor. Okay. Just completely wrong. All right. Um, Also, I'm wondering if her texting him may have felt a bit normal or something for her, considering the fact that she does speak on being touched sexually at some point. So she didn't say whether it was by an adult or whether it was by another child or not, but if it was by an adult, like was she conditioned to feel like those type of things, texting him or whatever the case, was normal or something like that? Not necessarily sure. But I will say, when she talks about him, about this particular guy, like disrespecting the aunt on television, I can't think of too many of the husbands that disrespected their wives on television, aside from that couple. But I'll let you guys make your own determination. Now, when I reflect back on her saying, oh, it's been 16 years since this incident. I was 16 at the time. And I'm 32 now. I had to do a little piece of calculating and stuff. And I went back and it appears that maybe about 2008, 2009 could have been when she was about 16, right? As they were gearing up to do Braxton Family Values, right? Now, around season 2, there was a sit down that Mr. Gabe had with Trina, along with the therapist, where he kind of talks about getting caught. She went through his phone and she caught him texting someone, but he kind of takes a pause, not necessarily confirming, and she fills in the blank. And that is enough to bring question for anybody to want to know, like, was he about to tell on himself and you needed to clean it up by saying other women? Check this out.
Gabe, do you understand what that's about? In the middle of the night, she had a gut feeling that I was doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So I gave her my phone.
And then snatched it from me.
And then I started thinking, I was like, well, shoot, I'm not checking your phone.
Well, was there anything on that phone that you didn't want her to see?
There were text messages between me and, well,
other women.
Yes. Friends. She has guy friends. She has all the guy friends in the band. So she can have guy friends, but I can't have any women friends. You know what? I was flirting, let's just say that. I took the bait and I shouldn't have.
So you're talking about.
All right. So did you guys catch that? I was texting, well, the pause for me, because if you know you've been texting women, why is it so hard for you to just say you were texting women? and Trina has to fill in with other women. And then he says he took the bait. And when I hear him say he took the bait, it's kind of making it appear as though this is this young lady's fault, when at the end of the day, well, let me again, I'm still saying that, but again, we don't know for sure if this is indeed who she's talking about, right? We don't know for sure. But I am thinking in my head about her likely being silenced, and if she was silenced or whatever, and hearing the I took the bait, I can see if it was indeed her, them making her be the problem. Okay, I'm going to play it again just to see if you guys catch what I catch.
Gabe, do you understand what that's about?
In the middle of the night, she had a gut feeling that I was doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So I gave her my phone.
And then snatched it from me.
And then then I started thinking, I was like, well, shoot, I'm not checking your phone.
Well, was there anything on that phone that you didn't want her to see?
There were text messages between me and, well,
Other women.
yes, friends. She has.
All right, so you guys just pretty much heard what it is that he said. Child, listen, Gabe's not here to defend himself. Okay, so there's that. I don't know if Trina's gonna come to the front to try and address it in any type of capacity, to let people know, hey guys, it's not me, so don't put my name in it. I don't see her doing that, for a number of reasons. One, I don't think she wants to deal with the backlash after dealing with so much of the backlash when their show was on a few months ago. Two, Gabe is no longer here. He's passed on, and she is also married. So it's not like she really needs to fight his battles. But at the same time, it is like, if it's not you, at least defend yourself. Right. And then three, I don't think that her husband is going to want her to do that at all, because he may misunderstand it, similar to when he was misunderstanding her grieving and about Gabe. Right. He didn't like that. So he may not like her defending a person that's no longer here, or herself as well, if it's attached to that situation. So who knows? You know what I'm saying? I don't, but I just wanted to bring it to you guys because I thought that was interesting, because all of that was likely around that time. And she could have been maybe 18, 19 by the time this aired. Right. But who knows? They probably filmed that the year prior or whatever before it made its way to us. But I will say this, Ashlee did come back to TikTok, where she wanted to share more. Okay, she wanted to share, she wanted to give like some, like, clear some things up. Okay, add a bit more. All right, for people that may not understand, a little bit more clarity. So let me go ahead and get that video up so that we can check out what Miss Ashlee had to say. Okay.
Hey guys, okay, I'm gonna finish talking about this situation. And I just want to say that this is not easy. It's not fun. It's not something that I want to talk about. This is not for clout. This is not something that makes me happy to be able to speak and to talk about. So let's just get that cleared up right away. This is not a space and place for me to trash my family's name. It's a space and place for me to talk about something that I've gone through, and to be able to make light of a situation that a lot of us have gone through, that were completely silenced. And for the first time in a really long time, I just feel like I want to help other people, and I feel free, and I just feel like if it can help people, then I'm more than happy to share what has happened to me. So a lot of you have been super awesome and shared with me and DM'd me your stories. Some of you have opened up the first time to me, and some of you have shared your stories of how you've gone off now to become like therapists, and some of you have said that you've moved and that you've taken your daughters and you're making sure that you stop the generational curse. And I'm just so grateful, and I've been trying to DM every single one of you back who has sent me a message, who has been so supportive. It's the reason why I talk about it, and it's made me so happy to hear these stories and just people talking about it, even if it's just for the first time or however. I've gotten so many messages about that, and I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. It's not easy, and I think you know that if you've gone through this, and it's probably one of the bravest things I've ever done. And I think about if I want to have my own kids, and this is for them too. And yeah, it's just it's not an easy thing to talk about. So I just want to clear up some things and you know, tighten up the parts of my story that I had to tell for the first time. I told that for the first time on TikTok, and I spoke about it with my therapist, and this was just what we decided to do, what we decided to talk about, how I decided to do it. And so the first time you do something, it's never easy, but you just do it, and I did it. And so that's kind of that. And it's also really hard for me to say all of the words that I want to say on social media, because you just get banned, and I don't want that to happen as I'm trying to tell the story. So I don't know if there's another space and place for me to talk about it. Maybe somebody has a podcast, maybe there's a stage, maybe there's another space for me to be vocal about it. Please send me a message, please send me a DM. It's not easy for me to talk about, and you'll see as I'm trying to find the words of how to navigate it, like it's just not easy. So if you have that available, please let me know. And also this, like as we start the new year, please, if you have a friend, if you have friends, family, ask them these sorts of questions. Has this happened to you? And if they've said yes, please give them the safe space and place and energy that they need to be able to share their story. And if you are someone who has gone through this and you are feeling me right now, please look at me as an example and just understand that it takes so much bravery, it takes so much courage to be able to talk about something like this. And if you can see through me, not everybody is going to agree with you, not everybody's going to believe you, not everybody's going to be on your side, but I promise you, your voice matters, you matter. Don't be silenced, and you may not receive everything that you want to receive, but there will be people who do love you and who do care about you and who will be there for you. You can see that through me, all right? So as I wrap up this story, please bear with me. I'm going to try to say it as fast as I can. I know y'all were like, girl, get to the point, but it was my first time talking about it. And also, I am 32, which means that this happened to me 16 years ago, okay? So this happened to me when I was 16. So memory is a little foggy, but also it took me a really long time to overcome all of this. And so I feel so much better that I was able to talk about it before. And I just feel like I'm able to talk about it now in a manner and a space and place where I can encourage others to do the same thing. Or if not, just provide a safe space and place, okay? So bear with me on all of this. Also, I'm 32. This happened when I was 16. So this is like 16 years of me trying to find the courage to be able to talk about it. And I'm so proud of myself that, sure, it's taken me a little bit longer than I expected or wanted to, but I'm able to talk about it. And I'm just like extremely happy right now. So give me a second, bear with me, but I'm going to tell it as best I can, okay? So I'm 16. I'm at my aunt's house, and when I leave, I'm there for the summer. Her partner decides, her husband at the time decides to start sexting me. So sexting in a sexual manner, okay? There was nothing physical that happened, absolutely nothing physical. However, when my parents first brought it up to my aunt, she was there for me, very like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And as the years have evolved, that has turned into, it's your fault. It's turned into, you were old enough to know right from wrong. And it's turned into something physical happened and you did it. And for me, that's mind-boggling to me, because if there was something that was physical that happened, and I'm 16 years old, this makes this person right. You know the word, and I can't use it. And so that is mind-boggling. It's just something that I don't really understand. I'm 16 years old. I'm 16, so what I've learned in therapy is that it doesn't matter what age you are when this sort of situation falls into your lap, however you decided to handle it is however you decided to handle it. And it's the responsibility of the adult to have had the responsibility to handle it a certain way. But when you're 16, or it doesn't matter what age you are as a child, you're not equipped of how this works, and it just shouldn't have fallen into your hands anyway. And so I think the hardest part for me was trying to navigate as to why is it me? Do you know? Why am I the scapegoat? Why are you not talking to me? I didn't ask for it. And I think so much empathy is needed for people who have gone through this sort of situation, for you to really understand that we didn't ask for this situation to happen to us. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. I don't want this. This is not fun. This is my life. This is real. This is my family. It's not something that you ask for. And so you can only spend so much time thinking about it and pondering and wondering like what you could have done better, done differently. And I've just gone through enough therapy to just realize and understand that I handled it the way that I did, and it just shouldn't have been in my plate. And why do you want me to come to you and say, yes, I had a physical relationship with this person? Like, that makes him, do you know what I mean? I said that I wouldn't get emotional on this, and I don't know. This person has also had a platform to be able to talk and to be able to voice, show his character of who he is, and like we're just breaking bread with the person as if nothing has happened, or like it's just, I don't know. But I say all of this to say that there's so many of you who understand my frustration in this and my silence, and I've just been dealing with so many emotions of feeling so many, like I have to start another video, sorry. It's almost 10 minutes. Anyway, I had to take a break. I had to chill for a second. I had to just breathe, because I just feel like this conversation, we have to start talking about it. We have to be willing to be brave. And that's all I'm trying to do here, is like overcome years of suppression of this situation, and years of, I'm just trying to honor myself as well, of all the years of therapy that I've had to do to work through this. And we just have to be kind, and we have to be willing to give people the safe space to talk about these situations. And it's not easy. It's not something that I want to talk about. I care about my family. It's not like fun. It's just, if I don't tell the story, who's going to tell it? If I don't honor me, who's going to honor me? If I'm not honest, I believe in honesty. I believe in being honest with myself. There's so many things that I've shared about myself from all over my aspects of my life on podcasts or whatever, where I even talk about things that I find completely disgusting that I've done. And you just have to talk about it and be a better person. And if a lot of you say, why now? And my answer to that is like, why not now? Why not talk about it? Why not have a conversation? And this is to really honor the people who have not been able to speak about it, because they're not given the safe space. And they know that if they were to tell their truth, that somebody was going to punish them, they were not going to talk to them, that they were going to have repercussions for telling their truth. And so it's why people don't talk about it. And it's a shame. And I'm just being vulnerable. I don't know what else to say to this situation. I'm going to always continue to talk about it. I'm going to continue to raise awareness about it. So if you know any way that I can contribute awareness, but I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to stop talking about it. It's my truth. It's me. It's who I am. I have put in loads of work, and I'm very proud of who I am today. And I'm proud of the work that I've done. I'm proud of how much I've overcome these feelings of being not worthy, of being not good enough, of being undeserving to have an aunt, of being undeserving to deserve love from my family, from that person, to have to overcome all of these things. And it's been a lot of work. And I share my story for somebody who is not able to share. So please, if you have not spoken up, if you feel like you want to speak up, but you can't find a way, contact me. Like I said, if you're some sort of therapist or somebody who can help, post yourself underneath this so that people can get the help that they need. But don't be afraid to be you. You have a voice. You matter. You exist. Don't silence yourself so that other people are living their life out loud. Other people get to talk about who they are and what they're doing with their life and what's happening. Why do you not get to? And you may feel repercussions of it. And I hope that this is an example that it doesn't matter where you come from, what is your family, your name, your background, whatever, what color is your skin, it doesn't matter. This happens all the time. But with the right amount of awareness, with the right amount of support, and with the right amount of safe spaces to be able to talk about it, we can make a really true impact. So I hope that this cleared up any explanation. I am grateful for this moment. I feel like I've just had a plethora of people behind me who have been able to support me. And even to the people who don't support me, I just still appreciate you, because you've taught me one of the most important things of life, and that is that people are not going to have your back. People are not going to care. People are not going to be empathetic. People are going to wish you dead. Some of you, your messages are completely obscene. But it's life. In life, you have to have the contrast of both good and both bad. So.
All right. So you guys just pretty much heard everything she said. She came out and said it was a little more than just a text. Hey, how you doing? It was giving sexting. And he was the one that initiated it and started it off. And that's what's killing me, because if you guys were aware of that and you saw the message thread, whether it was from her phone or his phone, I don't know if they saw it from the beginning, but if evidence was there from the beginning, why would y'all sit up there and put it off on her when that's what he chose to do? So again, the verdict is still out on who she's actually talking about, because she has yet to tell that part of the story. But I did see where there were some people saying that they believe that it is Miss T and Mr. G, because she liked a comment that had their names in it. And that is what that's one of the reasons why people believe it's them. Now, I feel like if that was indeed actual factual, maybe we would see a screenshot of some sort flying around, and I have yet to see that. So I'm not necessarily sure. Okay, but you guys can leave your thoughts and comments down below on this entire situation regarding Ashlee Braxton, the Braxton sisters, the Braxton brother, honey, and how he was acting and cutting up out here when he was young. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. That's all that I have. I'm Jami, that's me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. But I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my shit. Spinning the block for the gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We coming you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed.